So, this is really what I do during a week. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to start doing this weekly where I just kind of do my analysis for gold and how I think and, A to Z on everything. So, the first thing we look at is we look at just, I skim through headlines, see what the Fed's up to, see what gold's up to, see what the major things that I'm trading are up to. So, like the first thing I look at, this article caught my eye. I'm really trying to determine is there anything that's going to cause jitters this week? And I know what moves gold, which is interest rates, inflation, other types of macroeconomic releases, and any other types of crises could, supply. And then you also can look at the supply, demand, and the reports on the open interest of, net long to net short positions. Let me break it down in the chart, but this isn't all my decision. I'm just kind of getting a grasp of what's going on. You do have to kind of know a bit about the background because it does move it in a way, and you do need to know this. So the first thing caught my eye was this article I read over. It says the Fed's talking about interest rates, bond purchases. We just had the whole pandemic, and really the big question is for a lot of people holding assets is what is the Fed going to do with interest rates? Because now that they are near zero, will we continue to support the economic recovery? By keeping it low in hopes to have growth and employment maintain itself and keep recovering. So another thing was I looked at the jobs reports lately haven't been too great. So I see a possibility that, yes, the Fed has another reason to justify keeping the rates low, as the Fed doesn't think that maybe the economy's recovered. And then you go to another article and it says, something a little different. Feds holds interest rates near zero, sees faster growth and higher inflation. So it's like, it's all over the place. You're going to see all different types of opinions and you got to kind of read in between. I don't try to think too much about the news articles and everything. I kind of just read through between the lines, take in, the sentiment behind it. I think the truth is usually found in the middle of things. I do look at hard things like what really does move gold, for example, and the market, which are like the 10-year treasuries. As this number goes up, typically gold will underperform. And I'll show you in a second a side-by-side comparison. I also look at the dollar index if I'm trading gold or if I'm trading dollar pairs. This is just a weighted type of index that factors in the dollar against other pairs. Like it's heavily weighted towards the euro. I think it's like the yen, Canadian dollar, even like the Norwegian krone. There's a bunch of other currencies, but it's just measuring its strength. If this is very strong, typically gold is moving in the opposite direction. So let's look at the actual news events. So you go to forexfactory.com as a trader, and you want to look at the impact level. So you see I really focus on red or orange really, and you can narrow it down by for example, if you trade all dollar pairs, you just have dollar. Or if you do just, let's say you just trade dollar yen and Jappy, you would only need that. But sometimes I'll leave them all here just for example's sake. For gold, the US dollar is extremely important, so you always have to have that. So the only one that really caught my eye this week really was CPI. I think is the real only major one that's going to move gold significantly. Just going through this, and if you want to add apply, you have to hit apply. Make sure you hit apply. Some people forget to do that. I guess you could say that another unemployment release, that's pretty important too. But yeah, CPI is going to be interesting because that measures inflation. You click the little folder thing here, and it even gives you a definition and some information on it, and it gives you historical data, so you can see how it's trending. If there's a surprise, the number, we have a forecast number and then an actual number. If there's a difference, it could mean something significant. And the nice thing is you can set alarms, so there might be a little volatility this time. We don't know. Sometimes the market snoozes and doesn't do anything, But it's good to just like if you're trading in the morning a certain session, you want to bookmark some of these times, like especially if it's important and it's highly pertaining to that. Really, like CPI is very important, unemployment's pretty important, retail sales not really. Um, GDP is also pretty important. There's a few other ones, um, and you do want to keep an eye out for those. And yeah, so we'll go from there. So right, so we kind of form a consensus. Like right now, you know, I can tell that not a ton going on the first couple days that's planned, and there's always stuff that could come in, and every day is a little bit different. Um, but for a perspective of gold, every single week, what you need to do is you always need to first. What I do is I mark my trend lines. Um, from highest time frame, and I'm very fanatical, but I've become more and more fanatical about my trend lines, making them very like, but it's never perfect. So really we can see, where gold's been. We've had the huge run up, and now we've kind of since, early August, we've been in this bearish channel. And we're starting to challenge it again. As you can see, we had the first major touch here, the second major touch, and now we're kind of getting back to it. And a few things could play out. Now, you don't always need to be, I'm not the type of trader that just says, I mean, if you look at this, okay, it's just the one, here it fell. Here it fell, and then every time it's kind of been around here. And it's not always going to be like, here there's a bit of a discrepancy. Here it's on point. Here it's on point, and then we have another trend channel here. Like, I hope I'm not throwing too much at you at once, but the main point is I'm trying to make is, most traders will see this, and that's not inaccurate. I'll make this red just for, example's sake. So, I mean, obviously it's pretty obvious. Okay, you have this very major trend line, and you have the possibility that it's going to hit and just start to come down. And that's very possible. That's a very possible outcome. And we'll go down to lower time frames and we'll explore that possibility. So this is possible, right? But I think it will probably, and people always ask, oh, what time frame do I use? Well, it's just start with the higher ones. I drew these trend lines, and I'm always updating these trend lines as they go. Like, you have to update you always draw, in my opinion, you always draw the higher time frames first. I like to go to a weekly or a daily. I think on weekly and on TradingView, you just drag it at the bottom. It's kind of annoying at first, but you get used to it. But TradingView is actually pretty sweet. But like, you can see it, okay, even on weekly, you see it, right? You see the touches. You see the touches, the higher touches. Right, I think you can also see it on the daily. Okay, don't overthink it. Just as long as it's touching. So this is kind of where we're at. We're almost at, we're 1830 around. I gotta zoom in so you can see it better. But let's see. So we're at 1830. We probably have a little bit more. Maybe, like I said, there's discrepancies. It's not always going to like perfectly hit the line. Like, remember that when I just showed you, if we go back to the daily, I know I'm jumping around, but you need to see this. Like, for example, right here, it didn't perfectly hit the trend line, right? But here it is. Here it is. That's, one touch, two touch, three touch. This probably is going to get a third touch. Very likely gold's going to get a third touch. I'm pretty certain it's going to come up to like here. Pretty likely. Is it guaranteed? I don't know. Meaning, this could have been the point of reversal already. So that's why I don't really want to jump on gold right now. Like, it's kind of forming a little bit of consolidation, right? It's kind of like, it spent a while up here a little bit. It had a huge, nice pump up. Now it's kind of chilling here. Right? And that's fine. And also, you might notice also you get news at the bottom here, like there's jobs reports, all different types of stuff. So you can kind of also look at on TradingView down here as well. And you could, I think there's a way to filter it. I don't know. I'd have to check. I don't want to distract from the video, but there's a way to filter this at the bottom. I'm pretty sure. But yeah. So what could happen? And let's go to what I like to use. Let's just do session volume HD. Let's see what that's like. Let's go to hour. So I like to use the volume profile because the volume profile shows the thickness in a session of volume. So right now we're in a nice pocket. The wider the volume, the more significant. So you can see like there's a lot of volume keeping it here. This is a pretty strong area. The next area is like down here. There's not a lot holding it here. There wasn't a lot. So like from about 30 to 20, there's not a lot. So this thing's probably going to go, if I had to be a guessing man, I would say, it's probably going to try down here, try here. There's a bit of other volume from the previous session that could back it up. So it could get stuck around here. Like this is a support. Like the volume profile doesn't show you anything like always like godly amazing. But because most of the volume most of the volume pockets are around support and resistance anyway. Like this is clearly this is a support, but sometimes it just kind of gets you an idea of how strong it is because sometimes certain sessions are bigger than other ones. So right now, and another thing is typically volume pockets like to bounce from like you might get a down here, and then the market could use this thick pocket down here to bounce. So I think that right now, oops, I didn't want to do that, but I think that right now you don't, and in a market, there's a good time to do something and a not so good time to do something. So I think right now it's better to just wait for a pull down and see how it reacts here. If it's consolidating and starting to make some thick candles, or it even makes like a wick around here, around this, like, let me highlight it for you. Like if it's making a significant, I can't find it. Oh, I can't find it. If it's making a significant portion of volume in that area, then it's probably going to come back down there. Like oh, here it is. Duh. So I would say around here, like this whole area. This would be a nice area for it to come down to, because that's where the meat of the volume is. There was a volume pocket here at the top, right? So we finished the last session before. We finished with a volume pocket in the middle and a volume pocket at the bottom, right? So we had two significant accumulation zones. Like these are called accumulation zones, right? So I think it's quite possible for it to come back down to here. And then if it just plows through this area, then I think we could start to tick up. But it's even possible it comes up here, then boom, and then that's possible too, because this volume pocket, once it dips below it, will act as resistance again. That's quite possible as well. And then another indicator that I use, some other things that I use, I always use RSI. I don't care what anybody says. RSI is always going to be around. It's old. It's like an old man, but it's an old man that's always going to be around. I kind of look at that. Kind of want to get down to, the RSI is up there, even on the 4 hour, and even on, let's look at the higher time frame RSI, like daily. Yeah, it's up there. I think we need to have a pullback. RSI is telling me, okay, come down, and that's fine. I think that it's curving down a little bit. I think it's pretty safe to, I really wouldn't want to chase it where it is right now. I think even if you waited for down here, or even the lower volume pocket down here around 1794, I think that would be a very good buy around there. I think that'd be a great opportunity to maybe watch. But it's not always like, oh, it hit the 1800, time to buy. Like, you don't know. Like, it could be at that time there could be something going on in the world, or it could be a horrible formation. If it's just like a huge, thick, engulfing candles, then that's not good. This is like this is very staged. This is like consolidation, strong impulse candle up, consolidation, strong impulse, consolidation. This could even go up again though, because I do like this candle, but I just don't see the risk to reward as a great opportunity to buy here just yet. I think I would want to wait. If it starts going up, there's probably going to be an opportunity to short, because that trend line is going to be acting as resistance. This trend line up here is going to act as resistance, most likely. This huge old trend line up here, this probably is going to act as resistance. Even if it does, like, it'll come up, then it'll come down in this channel, right? It'll come down, and then it might come up from here. That's more realistic, right? A lot of times you need to just wait for the pullback. Wait for the pullback. Right now it's kind of holding. It's not really doing too much. It's still, early. It's still early in the week. It just began. Not a lot of volume yet. It'll pick up in a little bit. It'll pick up and especially by New York. But if in New York it just comes down to this pocket or even lower, I wouldn't even mind waiting for it to come down to here. But we're talking a lot. I know I'm getting like everywhere, because when I look at the chart, I see a ton of different possibilities. I see a lot, and I'm not trying to get too focus on one thing. Like, I'm giving you, I see the scenario where it can come to here. I see the scenario where it could come to here. I see the scenario where it doesn't do that, and it just, for some reason, it's from right now, it just zooms up. And I know what to kind of do in all of them, right? I'm not trying to be so centered, on a type of direction that I can't do that. I overall think that the market is really starting to show some strength for gold, because the fact that we have really started to get this accumulation going, that's impressive. I just kind of would like to catch this long on a little bit of a dip somehow, and kind of go from there, or even wait for a short but I'm not expecting, if I'm shorting up here where this trend line is, if I wait for it to get a little bit higher for the short, I'm not trying. I don't think I'm going to get like an insane move down. I'm probably only going to get like 20, 30 points, because I don't think it'll go too much beyond this trend line that's acting as support since it began in March. I know I'm throwing a lot at you, going into this, but I really think that's where I'm at. Just to review, keep an eye on the strength of the dollar. I also look at the treasury. Right now, dollar's kind of flat. 10 years ticking up a little bit. So dollar got a little teeny bit of juice, very teeny. I look at the news. I look for any major releases. There's tons of different sites you can go on. Yahoo Finance is free. I look at different reports. I don't get too into them. Another great site is gold.org. It just talks about gold, talks about very in-depth commentary on that. And then, keep yourself informed about different upcoming events. Learn about what they are. Like, it's not hard. Like, people ask me, like, what does that mean? Well, it's very simple to find out. Like, unemployment claims. It says it right here. You can research it. Don't get too caught up in it. You just kind of really more need to know, like, okay, at 8:30 I might expect something to happen. And you don't try to predict it too much. Just be aware that at this time something can happen. And then, like I said, you go to the chart, high time frame to low time frame. Get the trend lines drawn properly. I have some videos on trend lines. So I'm probably going to make more. Be informed about your trend lines. There's a lot of videos, also great other YouTubers making great videos on trend lines too. Can make sure you just have your trend lines established, know kind of where the market is. Trend lines are very good. A lot of time they do connect, but sometimes, like I said, there's occasions where they don't always do that perfectly. Sometimes they line up like sort of close. And then when you get to lower time frames, this is kind of where I like to use things. I use RSI and anybody will badmouth RSI, but it's not going away. It's the most widely used thing. It doesn't tell you everything. It gives you a good basis. And then I look at the volume. The volume down here is great, but I like to see the volume profiles. And to be able to get volume profiles, you have to have what is it? TradingView Pro or up. It's only $15. I can give you a link to help you get that. But remember, I suggest you also learn about volume profiles. I'll probably make more content later on that, and how they really function as an intraday kind of thing to look for, and how they really interact with one another. And there you can start to make setups. You've already established the market is pretty bullish. Market could keep going. Okay, you kind of want to get a little bit of a better price. Where we're at right now. If I was in longs from way earlier, I would be okay. But if I want to enter new, then you got to measure risk reward. Like, it depends. Like, if you want to swing trade this stuff, and if you could risk, like, it all depends on risk. Like, when do I buy? When do I sell? It depends. Like, are you a swing trader? Are you just trying to scalp? Or are you a little bit in between? There's a lot of different things. But it's like you got to know where you are on the roadmap. Like right now, we're here. I think we can come down to. I think we might want to wait a little bit for a pullback. I'm not super crazy about longing here, even though I think it has a little bit of a pump. But we just made a pretty significant come up. But I think it'd be better to long it overall because we're still in this. And I think if you want it short, you got to wait a little bit higher for some exhaustion or a reversal candle or something. So you got to also have confirmation too. You need to really know about these candlesticks. Wait for a candlestick to really show you something that's a reversal on a 1 hour or 4 hour, or at least a 1 hour, preferably a 4 hour. Or something else. You got to really understand the language of these candles. And there's a lot of content. I made some videos on here that are public, but you really need to understand that stuff. So I hope this, helps you out for the week. Try to get out there, have a good week. Remember your discipline, and wishing you all the best. Thank you.